Ferrari's boss Fred Vasseur just dropped a bombshell about Carlos Sainz's fate for the Australian Grand Prix. Are you curious to know if Sainz will be back on track? Well, Vasseur has some revealing comments that you won't want to miss. So let's dive into this video today to know exactly what's in store for Sainz and Ferrari at the upcoming race down under. Earlier in the week, Fernando Alonso experienced health issues, causing him to miss media obligations. His condition worsened after FP2 at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit, leading to a diagnosis of appendicitis. Consequently, Alonso was unable to participate in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and underwent surgery for his condition. In his absence, 18-year-old British driver Ollie Bearman stepped in and impressed on his debut, showcasing the team's depth of talent. Suppose Carlos Sainz is not fully recovered for the Australian Grand Prix. In that case, Ferrari had 3 reserve drivers to choose from as potential replacements: Antonio Giovinazzi, Robert Shwartzman, and Ollie Bearman. And Oliver is chosen. With the possibility of Alonso's return uncertain, the team has a capable backup in Bearman if Alonso's recovery extends beyond expectations. However, precedent suggests that a swift recovery is plausible, as evidenced by Alex Albon's remarkable comeback from a similar health issue in 2022. If Alonso's recovery progresses smoothly, there remains optimism that he could be back on the grid for the Melbourne Grand Prix. As we have said, Ollie Bearman's remarkable debut in the Grand Prix, stepping in for Carlos Sainz, has garnered widespread acclaim. Despite starting from the 11th position on the grid, Bearman showcased his talent by securing an impressive 7th place finish. However, there remains uncertainty regarding his role for the upcoming Australian Grand Prix, which is scheduled for March 22nd to 24th. It's unclear whether Bearman will continue as a reserve driver or return to competing in Formula 2. Team principal Fred Vasseur clarified the situation, expressing reluctance to rush Sainz back into racing until he has fully recovered. When asked about Sainz's potential return to the track, Vasseur commented, "It was a peculiar situation at the onset of the weekend. We were convinced it was food poisoning, but he struggled a lot of Thursday in both sessions with fever and stomach issues, but he was convinced that it would be much better the day after. But he called me on Friday morning and said, 'I will miss FP3, but I'll be there for qualifying for sure.' And at 11:30 a.m., he was in the hospital. It was quite clear that we were not going in the right direction." There was no delay in putting Bearman in. I don't remember the timing exactly, but as soon as it was clear from the doctor that Sainz would be unable to drive, we decided to put Oliver in. Thanks to the hospital in Jeddah and to everybody from the organization that did the surgery, and this morning I visited him and he was completely okay. It is a huge recovery and we have to be focused on Melbourne. He will have a good rest this week and we will see if he races in Australia. I don't want to rush or something like that. He is an adult and will make the right decision. Vasseur optimistic about Sainz's involvement. Discussing his star driver's return, Vasseur expressed uncertainty about the timeline for recovery as Carlos Sainz enters a week of rest. "This I don't know honestly," he told the media following the race in Jeddah. "The recovery so far is amazing. The fact he was able to come today to be with the team is a very good sign and a very good support for us. Now, he will fly back with me tomorrow Sunday, and he will have 1 week of complete rest, and we will make a decision on when he has to fly to Melbourne in 1 week's time. But I'm quite optimistic." Sitting out of the season's second race was far from ideal for Sainz, who would have been eager to maintain his momentum after securing a podium at the first Grand Prix in Bahrain. However, this setback could fuel his determination to return for the Melbourne race, especially considering Ferrari's strong position as the team best placed to challenge the currently dominant Red Bull. Bearman to replace Sainz. Team principal Vasseur explained that the decision on which driver fills in is logically structured. "No, I took the decision in the winter because I found it a bit foolish last year to ask Antonio to do 22 or 24 races while simultaneously participating in the LMH program, WEC. The LMH program is quite important for us. It's a significant challenge, and I don't want to burden Oliver or even Shwartzman with extensive travel and racing commitments. That's why we decided that Oliver will be the reserve driver when he is with us. And when he's not with us, he will serve as the simulator driver. Since Formula 2, like Formula 1, races in Australia on the weekend of March 24th, Ollie Bearman will also be the reserve driver present there for Ferrari. However, whether the 18-year-old gets behind the wheel depends on Sainz's recovery and availability. Reflecting on his prospects of driving again, Ollie Bearman acknowledged that the decision was not his to make. In an interview with Sky Sports, he expressed satisfaction with his performance in the Grand Prix, despite feeling that the weekend ended too quickly. He said, "It was a great race," he said. "I loved every moment, but the weekend was too short. It was over too quickly, so now I'm back down to earth, back down to reality. But I think I did a good job out there." He remarked, "Carlos is looking well, so I'm glad he's having a good recovery. In the end, it's not my decision to make. If he feels good, and I hope he does, then he'll be in the car in Melbourne. In the end, it's his car, it's his championship, so I hope the best for him." As Formula 1 prepares for its inaugural race in Melbourne this year, Bearman remains on standby to step in for Scuderia Ferrari if necessary. However, if Carlos Sainz is fit to return, Bearman will shift his focus to competing for the championship with Prema Racing. Prema has faced challenges adapting to the new era of technical regulations, but Bearman remains optimistic about their future prospects. Sainz recovery. Given the diagnosis of appendicitis and the subsequent surgery, Carlos Sainz's participation in upcoming Formula 1 races may indeed be significantly affected. Typically, the recovery timeline for appendicitis surgery can range from 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the type of procedure undergone and individual factors influencing recovery speed. If Sainz underwent laparoscopic surgery, which is minimally invasive and associated with a shorter recovery time, he may return to his usual routines within 2 to 3 weeks. However, depending on the timing of his surgery and recovery progress, he could potentially miss 1 or 2 races. However, if an open appendectomy was necessary due to complications such as a ruptured appendix or severe infection, the recovery period may extend to 4 to 6 weeks. This could result in him missing several races in the 2024 Formula 1 calendar, significantly impacting his season. Considering the current date of 8th of March 2024 and the potential recovery timeline, Sainz may miss several Formula 1 races depending on his specific circumstances. Ultimately, the exact races Sainz might miss will depend on his individual health, the type of surgery he undergoes, and his recovery progress. The team and medical professionals will closely monitor his condition and make decisions regarding his return to racing based on his well-being and readiness to compete at the highest level. Alex Albon got back to racing just 3 weeks after appendix surgery in 2022. Recovery isn't just about the body healing. Emotions and mental health are important too, especially for athletes who need to be physically fit. Family, friends, and the team's support, along with rest and good food, help a lot during recovery. It's interesting to note that Sainz was back on the track in Saudi Arabia shortly after his surgery. This suggests that his appendix issue was probably dealt with before it burst, which is a relief. We can't say for sure whether he had laparoscopic or open surgery, though. Racing in a Grand Prix is grueling, with drivers enduring high G-forces for hours. Doing so with a big wound in the abdomen is risky, especially if there's a chance of crashing. Footage shows Sainz back at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix after surgery, still wearing his hospital ID tag. Surprisingly, he moves quite freely, unlike someone with a large, fresh wound. It's likely he had laparoscopic surgery, which leaves smaller scars and allows for quicker recovery. Plus, there's less risk of the wound reopening compared to open surgery. Laparoscopic surgery uses small incisions, usually no more than ½ an inch, which are less invasive and easier to heal from. So, it seems Sainz may have had this type of surgery for a speedier recovery and less risk during his return to racing. So what do you think of the shocking bombshell by Ferrari boss over Sainz's participation in the Australian GP? Comment below and subscribe for more.